Welcome to the Chaos and Carry-Ons podcast with Stephanie
and Shelby.
Chaos and carry-ons, let's go. Disney dreams in tow, you know. Every flight and every ride. Join the journey, come inside.
So this week is Mateo's birthday week when this episode will drop. It feels weird saying that because it's not actually his birthday week. But when you guys are all hearing this, it's the week of his birthday. So we're going to do like we did with Haley. We're going to drop in a little clip of him talking about being 4 years old. But I can't even stand to think about it this week that he's going to be 4.
4
it was funny because yesterday
big. 4 is like
I know.
He's a big kid now.
I know. Yesterday he was on the couch and he said something about when it's going to be my birthday, and I started like fake crying. He goes, "It's okay, Mom. I'll be a baby."
Yeah, he's definitely the third child.
But I don't know. It's weird too because everyone thinks he's like 6 years old because he's so big. If any of you are listening to this and you've seen Mateo, you're probably shaking your head. Yes, he's huge. Which I always say that I feel duped because when he was born, he was so little. And do you remember how everybody would be like, "Oh, he's going to be so little and cute." And he's a giant.
He's massive. He's a little linebacker.
Yeah, it's so funny though, because here we thought, oh, he's going to be so small, and he's so big. And then trying to carry him around is insane. And he still wants to be, like you said, he's definitely the third kid. He wants to be the baby. And we're just like, dude, you're too little or too big
to be little.
To be carrying you like you're the baby. Yeah.
So today's episode, we're starting out with a little interview with Mateo, and then we're going to tell favorite Mateo memories. But in today's episode, the real reason why we're here is we're going to do what's in my suitcase.
I like my suitcase.
So we're going to talk about things that we travel with, whether we're driving or flying.
Yeah. And I'm excited about this because we have very different, well, what did you say in one of the last episodes? I'm like what did you say, a B plus or A minus?
Did I say that? I don't know.
I think so. And you're very type A, and your list is very type A. You can tell that mine is like a little more type B, but I still am organized when it comes to.
You're not really type. You are type B, but you're not so type B that you're dysfunctional. You're like, yeah, right. I guess I did say that. You're like a B plus or A minus.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like right in the middle.
So we're going to have Mateo's interview first, and then we'll go right into the episode.
Mateo, how old are you going to be on your birthday? How old are you turning?
3.
No, you're turning 4.
4, 3, 4, 5.
What did you like about being 3? What fun stuff did we do?
We just do bees.
We did what?
We do bees.
Bees? Oh, because you got that new bee toy?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday we did.
Yeah.
We went to Disney World while you were 3. That was fun, right? Remember you swam in the pool that was like a beach?
I like it too. Oh!
What's Mateo's favorite foods?
I want to get a lollipop.
Lollipops?
Yeah.
And what's your favorite toy?
Look! I want to get
What do you like?
a popsicle.
I know you like popsicles, but what about your toys?
I want to get Thomas' toy.
Thomas toys? Say bye.
Bye, I'll see you next year.
Next year?
Yeah, I'll see you. I'll see you and eat my gummies in my popsicle.
He said, I'll see you after I eat my gummies and my popsicle.
Well, that interview went way better than Taylor's. Thank you, Mateo. So I'm going to start out by talking about my suitcase, which this is kind of weird, but I saw a lot of influencers on Instagram, people on YouTube. They recommended, I think it's pronounced Base. It's BEIS is the brand. And you know how it is, like when people, especially on Instagram, they're like really promoting something and there's a lot of them promoting it. You wonder, okay, how much is this company paying them, or do they really feel this way? So for Christmas, this past Christmas, I bought it and took it over to Jordan's mom's. She wrapped it and put it under the tree. But I just wanted to start with like the carry-on size. I wanted to see, I mean, because it's not cheap, but I wanted to see the quality. And I am blown away. I've used it now so far for two different trips that we took, and it is totally worth the money. I ordered it on Black Friday, so it was like 30% off or something. But
Yeah.
I got the carry-on, I bought the Weekender bag, and packing cubes. They're all three that brand, and they are amazing. That bag has so many compartments, and it also has, like, you can pull up the handle and it has this little thing. It'll turn red if your bag's over 50 pounds.
Really?
Which, if you don't have a luggage scale, which we do, my mom actually got us one of those. If you don't have that, which, I mean, you can always just use like your bathroom scale. That's what we did before. But this feature, I was very excited about that. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. I would buy it just for that.
You lift up on the handle and it'll either like, there's a little window beside it. It'll be white if it's under 50, and it turns red if it's 50 plus pounds.
Wow. That's amazing. Because if you think about it, I've done this before. You can't always do the bathroom scale thing when you've bought a bunch of stuff on vacation and then you have it in your suitcase.
There's been many trips where we were leaving and our suitcase was 48 pounds and I knew what was in there. And it's hard when you're packing back up to come back home. You might not have a scale, which most hotels do offer a luggage scale. I think that's like a given, but I thought this was really cool because it's built in. That was a really neat. It's got like locks, the TSA locks and stuff on there too. Which in this, or when I bought all that, I also bought you the backpack, like the travel backpack, because you've been talking about this for years. I wasn't sure about the brand, so I went out on a limb. So I don't know. I didn't see the backpack. I just left it in the plastic and then sent it to you for your birthday. So does the backpack seem like it's good quality too?
Yeah, it does. And it has a lot of compartments too. That was one thing that I liked about it, because my old backpack, it didn't have a lot of pockets. And so I felt like everything was ending up on the bottom of my back. You know what I'm saying? Those little tiny stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're digging for your bag. I did not like that. And that's what I was wanting, was something with a lot of compartments. And it does have that.
Well, the Weekender bag doesn't have as much, but you don't really need a lot of compartments on a Weekender. But I love how the bottom completely, it unzips all the way around and you can kind of fold the bag over, and there's like a bottom part that's separate from your clothes for shoes. And I love that because I cannot stand throwing shoes on top of our clean clothes for a trip. I can't stand that. So I love that it has that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I almost just bought the little shoe cover. You know what I'm talking about, to put in your suitcase for this trip, because the same thing. It's easier when you're driving, but when you're flying, you don't want muddy shoes in suitcase with all your stuff.
No, and I love that. I mean, the packing cubes had something with it, like a little bag for your shoes. It had bags for dirty clothes in addition to the packing cubes. So I only have the carry-on size right now, but my birthday is in just a few weeks. And so that's what I was thinking. I might get the medium size to add to my carry-on before we go to California next month. So that may be my birthday present to myself. So anyways, that's the beginning of my list. So I guess I'll let you go now. I just wanted to talk about that. And maybe can we add a link to the show notes for that brand?
I think so. I could try to do that.
Okay. I would highly recommend. It's steep. I mean, if you're used to going to TJ Maxx to get your $89 luggage, it's more expensive, but I'm also like, you get what you pay for kind of person. And so it was definitely worth the money, in my opinion. So I would recommend that.
Okay, so what I'm going to start out with is funny. I know that I told Shelby this before I did it and then after. So I got this idea I don't think I saw it anywhere. For some reason, I think it just hit me that when we were going to Hawaii, that's a very long trip. And I knew that the girls were nervous about taking that long of a flight. So I went online on eBay and bought Where's Waldo and I Spy books. I know it sounds very random, but it's funny to me, the things that we used when we were kids that now these kids have never heard of this before.
Yeah, we're
and
vintage.
So when they when they got those books out, this man that was like 2 rows behind us, he goes, "Is that I Spy?" And Derek's like, "Oh, there's a millennial."
Yeah. Well,
But
I was
anyways,
just thinking that you bought that for the kids, but if I was there, I would totally have been doing that with them.
me and Derek were doing it. It was so funny. But anyways, I was like, I'm going to write that down. So that I think is a brilliant thing to bring onto a plane when you have antsy kids that are a little bit older, even for Taylor. And they don't just want to, you know what I mean? The girls, they get tired of just constantly watching a movie, and you can't really surf the web as great on a flight.
No.
Anyways, you can only find them on eBay. They have a ton of them, and they're not expensive. I think they were just a few dollars, to be honest. Anyway, Where's Waldo? I Spy. There was another one, and I can't think of what it was, but if you go on there, they have a bunch.
I'm going to add that. I'm actually writing that down right now to get one before our flight to California, because I think it's only like a 4-hour flight from Nashville, but there's only so many shows you can watch in 4 hours.
I know.
I'm not a big TV person anyways. Jordan could watch TV the entire time, and he probably will. He usually downloads some movies, but
Yeah.
I mean, I might watch one movie, but after that, I'm done.
Yeah, well, when you're traveling with kids, they're distracted. Like, you can't read a book
No.
because they're distracting you and constantly. But that's what I'm saying. The Where's Waldo, you can kind of come back and forth to it. But anyways, we passed that around, and I even passed it back to that man
That's
to
funny.
use because he was so excited about it. But anyway, that's my first thing.
So I wasn't thinking like carry on, or which you could even do that in the car too. I didn't think that. I was really thinking like in my suitcase going on a trip. So something that I don't know where I got this idea. Maybe it was on Pinterest back in the day. I don't know. But I bought a foundation brush that I use specifically for sunscreen. Now, we are big Sunbum fans. That's the sunscreen that I buy all the time. And they have the face sticks, but I felt like it wasn't getting covered. Like Taylor's face, I felt like didn't get good enough coverage to use that. So I bought like the liquid. It's not liquid. It's like the lotion sunscreen. But
Yeah.
if you've ever tried to fight a kid for sunscreen, it's not worth it. So I just squirt it on this foundation brush and brush it on her face. It takes 25 seconds. And that I've had people stop me at the pool before, like, that is a genius idea. And I don't know where I got that idea. If I saw it somewhere, I don't know. But that's a foundation brush is going in my suitcase for sunscreen 100% of the time.
I remember somebody even coming up to you in Hawaii, and you were like, I thought everybody knew about this trick, and they were, no. And I have never heard of that before. That was the first time I ever saw it.
Maybe it wasn't Pinterest. Maybe it was just, I just don't feel like I came up with that on my own, but it's great. And it's just not worth the hassle of fighting a kid to put sunscreen on their face. So it's easy for her, easy for me, win-win situation.
The next thing on my list, I'm keeping with the toys. And this was more of like my carry-on bag. So for little, I'm going to say Mateo's age, toddlers above, again, I was thinking vintage. I started looking for, what I was Googling was Polly Pockets for little boys. They do have some. I don't know if you ever heard of this. Let me think of the name of it. Lakeshore Toy Store, I think it's called. They have one in Nashville. I got Mateo a little set. It's a little bigger. It's bigger than a Polly Pocket, but it was little robots. That's that style. And then I also found him, it was from, I think it said 2015 maybe, but it was as big as a Polly Pocket, and it was Ninja Turtles. came with the little people. That was really, really cute. So, you think of all these little toys, but how fun was Polly Pockets when we were little?
Oh,
That was
I
one of
had
my
so
jams.
many. I had so many
Yeah, me
Polly
too.
Pockets.
Me too. And even Derek was saying, I had brought him some other toys, but that little Ninja Turtle, Polly Pocket style, Mateo was obsessed with that. And I actually took it from him and I have it put up. I'm going to give it back to him when we go to Disneyland because he loved that so much. And they're really little and they just fit in your lap.
The next thing on my list, I typically, which we fly most of the time. I'll say that. We do drive depending on where we're going, but more times than not, we're flying. We only have one kid though, so we're only buying 3 tickets and it's feasible for us to fly. But a bog bag, okay, hear me out here. They are the ugliest things ever. It looks like a giant crock bag. And when they first came out, it was, I don't know, 2019 maybe, 2020. I don't know when
so.
it was.
Yeah, it was like right before COVID probably.
It was the popular thing. Okay, why would I want a bag that looks like a big crock? And so I went into a baby boutique and the lady that was working there said, "Do you want a bog bag?" And I was like, I really do. I mean, at that point, I couldn't think of what I would use it for. And she said, "We have had people from up to like 300 or 400 miles away calling. They're driving here to get it. People were buying them and reselling them and making a huge profit off of them." And she said, "I have one here and it's this lavender color. If you want it, you need to get it." Well, I don't know what came over me because I'm usually not very much into like following the in crowd. I mean, I'm not in the trendy whatever. So I don't know what came over me, but I'm like, okay, I'll buy it immediately. It was like FOMO, I guess. So
Yeah.
I buy this. I want to say it was between $80 and $100. It's the large one. I don't remember how much I paid, but I just remember thinking as I'm walking out to the car with this big crock, thinking Jordan is going to absolutely kill me when he finds out what I paid for this. But
Yeah.
as soon as I left, we went, I don't know where we were. I think we were actually in the Smokies for vacation. I went to the hotel and we were going down to the pool. So I just threw everything in my bog bag. I had people down there offering me like way, way, way more than what I paid to buy this thing. People at the pool, "Where did you get that? Which store did it come from?" Because they were so hard to find at that point. So
Yeah.
I kept it. And I'm telling you what, there is nothing like that bog bag. Now I have all the sizes. I went the smaller one. Taylor has the baby bog bag. We use those things all summer long. The beach, it is perfect because, like I said, it's like a giant crock. So you can just wash it out with the water hose, dump it out. I love my bog bags, and which they don't fit in luggage on like to check them. So it has to be a carry-on, and I don't know that they technically fit like the carry-on. It's just really awkward to carry it on just because of how it is. It doesn't close. You have to turn it on its side to fit it in the overhead bin on the plane. So when we're flying, I usually leave the bogs at home, but if we're driving, you better believe my bog bag's coming with me.
Well, I was thinking you had it in Hawaii. Did you not?
I think I did, and we just left it empty and carried it on. I didn't carry it like with things in it. I did take it to Hawaii.
Yeah. Well, let's just say Jordan loves the bog bag too. You said he was mad about it, but I heard him ask, "Where's the bog bag?" when we were in Hawaii. It's funny. I will say that's the thing for me that drew it to me. Now, I don't have the actual brand bog. I think it's like a knockoff, like what, Simply Southern or something like that. But that's what I like is the hosing out because I'm really bad to the kids like spill, I'm going to say crackers, different things because they're always eating at the pool. And then it gets nasty and then you just have to toss it.
Yeah. Well, the bog bag, I mean, at the beginning, I was like, I'm not paying $100 for a large crock bag. And I don't know. Just that lady talked me into it. When she was talking about people driving so many hours to get there, I just took it. I don't know. But I have no regrets. So there's that.
Some people probably think of this first thing. But I always take peppermints. You know, some people, their thing is gum. If you have kids with braces, I always say peppermints is the way to go because a lot of times you get, I'm going to say nervous stomach, traveling stomach, whatever you want to call it, on an airplane or even in a car. You know, you'll feel nauseous. So I always have the peppermints and Zofran. I don't know when or why I started carrying Zofran, but I carry Zofran. It doesn't matter. I put it down. Doesn't matter if we're on a plane, train, or automobile. And that's really the truth. I always carry Zofran with me, even if we're just going to Nashville for the weekend. I have Zofran because you don't know if a kid's going to start puking. You don't know if a kid's going to get car sick. Like I said, a nervous stomach, whatever, you have the Zofran with you. It's funny because I have it's like, it has Pumbaa on it. And I think it says, oh, sorry. It's a 2-piece set, but it has like Timon. And I think it says, what's that smell? And then he says, oh, sorry. But I keep that and it has all the medicines in it, like Tylenol, Motrin, Benadryl. I always take that because we have 2 kids that have an allergy. And then I keep that Zofran in it. And I keep it in that little bag in my backpack. And that goes with me, like I said, every single trip. Doesn't matter where. Even when we just went to Nashville to get Sophia's prom dress, I had the medicines in there. You know, it's happened to us too many times.
That's actually a great point and a great idea because now in the last year, every time we've traveled, I have been more prepared with medicines just because of my own medicines because, you know, I come with a lot of baggage now.
Yeah.
So, but before that, I can't tell you how many vacations we went on that we were hitting up Walgreens or CVS to get children's Tylenol or Benadryl, Zyrtec. You name it. I have like 14 Tylenol bottles in my medicine cabinet right now because we forgot every time. And every time Taylor, she would need something. So I'm better about that now, but it took me a long time to get to that point.
Yeah. After 3 kids, you're like, no, we need the medicine bag.
Yeah. So the next on my list, my mom got us a few years ago for Christmas. I think it was in all of our stockings, actually. It's like a 3-in-1 charger that folds up. So it's like really small. It's maybe once it's folded up, it's probably like the size of like Post-its. And you can unfold it. It has wireless charging for your phone, your AirPods, and your Apple Watch all on one. That's always in my bag. Extra USB chargers for all of our devices. All of our devices are Apple, but like mine takes a different charger than Jordan's and then Taylor's iPad too. So I always have extra chargers and power blocks because most of our trips we're using our phones, whether it be Disney where you're like on the app all the time, or if we're using it for pictures and videos. I feel like my phone battery does not last on vacation like it does when I'm at home.
Yeah.
So I make sure to have all the chargers. But now that foldable 3-in-1 charger, that was a game changer because it's all in one. I don't have to worry about my watch charger or the AirPods, whatever. So I love that. I don't know what brand it is. But I would highly recommend that.
Yeah, that was a good one. And especially, like you said, extra chargers because Derek is more type A and he has brought extra chargers. And if you're ever on a trip and then your charger stops working, those lightning cables are awful if you have an iPhone.
Yeah, they are.
To stop working at the most inconvenient times. The next thing that I put on my list is probably something that some people do and some people don't do. But I always stick 2 or 3. Now you have to watch if you're flying for the weight. But I always stick 2 or 3 bottles of water in your suitcase. The reason is because a lot of times you'll get to your hotel. Maybe you've went out and you've came back and one of your kids is thirsty or you're thirsty and the bottled water that you have to buy at the hotel is what? $5? It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, at least.
So even like when we flew from Nashville to LA in our overnight layover to Hawaii, yeah, the kids were saying, I'm thirsty. And luckily, there it was. I had those bottles of water in my suitcase that I had brought for them. Like I said, I only take usually 2, 3 max. Another thing that I wrote down, I'm putting in with the water is before I was taking an empty Stanley Hydro Flask, whatever, and filling it up with ice and water at the airport. I have since realized, now I don't know if this is true if you don't have, TSA pre-check. But if you have TSA pre-check, I know that you can do this. You can take it filled up with ice. Then buy your water once you get through security. But I even have started doing it on road trips. For some reason, I would just take just plastic bottles of water. But now I've started taking the Stanley filled with ice and then just refilling it as I'm going on the trip. I don't know why.
Good idea.
Your water just goes so much, I'm going to say, farther if you have it filled up with ice. You know what I mean?
Well, the ice is melting too, so you're getting water both ways.
Yeah. But anyways, so our last trip, that's what I did, was filled that Stanley with ice. Normally I would fill it after we went through the security, but then you have a hard time finding people. Nobody wants to give you anything for free anymore, and they're just looking at you. So take it filled up with ice.
I do know Nashville Airport, right when you get out of security, they have one of those, I think a lot of malls are doing this now too, where it's the water fountain, but then up on the wall is where you can fill like your water bottle. I know Nashville has that. I don't know. Anybody that really knows me in real life knows that I'm very, very picky when it comes to water.
Yes.
My sister-in-law jokes and calls me bougie all the time because I will even take my cup with my water in when we go out to eat. I rarely ever get water from a restaurant. I'm bringing my own cup. And
I do that too. And Derek thinks it's so weird.
well, Morgan does too, and she doesn't care. It's like she always jokes on me about taking my water, but I'm very much like not all water is the same, and I feel like you're either that way or you don't care, you'll drink anything. It's one way or the other.
Well, it's funny because have you ever been with somebody, let's just say almost all day, and then you're thinking, I've been drinking this water all day and I haven't not seen them drink nothing. Like, is this a Camel or what?
Yeah.
Because Derek always says, he's like, you're always drinking water. I said, if I don't drink water, I start to get a headache. I don't know how you guys are functioning. Not the water drinkers are like, yes. You have to have water. I don't know how you guys are surviving without it.
Well, that took a turn.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, so next on my list, this is something that I started when Taylor was born, like our very first vacation. She was 3 months old. Surprise, surprise. And so I started then, which it was easier then than it is now because she is bigger. But I started laying out her outfits for vacation complete with like bow, underwear, like everything for that day. Lay it out, fold it up together, and put it in Ziploc bags. Now, you can do this with packing cubes or whatever, but when she was little, it was much easier. That way, if Jordan was helping me get her ready, I could say, okay, everything's together. He's not having to dig through to find what color bow matches this outfit or whatever. So I would do it by day in a like gallon-sized Ziploc bag, and that was a game changer. I never traveled any other way. I started that from the get-go. That's my type A showing, hardcore. But
everybody else is like, we're throwing it in there. We're not even.
Probably. But I'm telling you, if you have little kids, I can even see where it would come in handy with multiple kids.
Yeah.
It's just easy. And like I said, it was all in one. Her underwear for that day, her whatever accessories she needed for that. It's harder now because her clothes are bigger, but I do still do it. Especially for long trips. Not so much like a weekend trip, but definitely when we're going to be gone an entire week.
Yeah, that's a good one. So my next one is taking a large tote. This is if you have a stroller specifically. But taking a large tote bag. I'll say the reusable grocery bags. There you go. The reusable grocery bags. Or you can get the really large ones at Disney World, actually. But taking one of those really, really big bags If you forget it, then we've just got asked for a empty bag from the gift shop. But take an empty bag with you that can fold up real small, because when you have to unload all of that stuff from your stroller to get onto the monorail, going through security, I'm saying, it's such a pain to pull all that stuff out. And when you're getting on the bus.
Yeah.
Even when you're putting it if you're going to drive and you're putting it in your car. Mm-hmm. It's so much easier if you have an empty bag and you could just throw everything in the bag and then get on the bus. Mm-hmm. That has saved us so much time and so many fights, because I cannot tell you how many times that I felt like we were almost going to get a divorce over. Because you know what I'm talking about, especially if you have multiple children and everything is falling out and everyone is getting on the bus and you don't want to miss the bus because you're tired. Mm-hmm. It's very stressful. Take an empty bag.
So I'm going to piggyback off that. This is actually not on my list, but when Taylor was smaller, I don't do this now. We don't travel with as much stuff now that she's 7. But when she was a baby, I had this bag, and I want to say it was maybe 31, but I think you can get them like anywhere. They make them to go on the back of your seat in the car. And it has those little compartments in it. And I bought that, and I would hang that on the back of my stroller, like from the handle. And it would have a compartment of snacks, Band-Aids, like little Tylenol, whatever, her diapers and wipes. And that way I could just unhook that and everything goes with it. But it was all organized and it wasn't in one big, again, this is my type A showing. But that, piggybacking off that, that's a great tip, because that didn't make my list this time, but it's because she's older and we really I don't take extra clothes anymore. I'm not taking like diapers or anything. So I feel like
that's a good idea.
We just grab and go. Mm-hmm. So one thing on my list, like another thing on my list, is extra empty trash bags and Ziploc bags. I do the quart size and the gallon size. You can use them to take in, like if you're going into the park and you think that there might be a water ride or whatever, throw in wet socks or whatever in those Ziploc bags, extra snacks, whatever. I can't tell you how many trips where we have used the trash bags, like for dirty clothes, to keep them separate in the suitcase or whatever. I always try to grab a handful of trash bags and Ziploc bags, because you never know when you're going to need it. And more times than not, I'm like, I'm so glad I did this. I don't know that we've ever come back with them. I mean, we always end up using them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so the next thing on my list, and this is one of those with the brush. I don't know where that I came up with this or got this from, but I remember reading about it when we were going to go to Texas to bring Mateo home. So we started traveling and I'm going to say until he was potty trained, with puppy pads, because I think they do now sell the throwaway pads that you can put on the changing tables in public places. Mm-hmm. But the puppy pads are a lot larger. Those changing pads are kind of small. So anyways, we started traveling with that, and that was like a game changer. Because then you're not worried about germs, putting your baby down on germs. Even for the car, if you've ever tried to change in the car, like I said, especially during COVID times, we were everybody was so nervous about germs during that time. Well, then we just started putting the puppy pad down and changing them right there in the car.
That's a great idea, especially for little boys.
Yes. And even on the plane and stuff. Again, and when Mateo went, he was 2, but he was extra large already. And he didn't even fit on that little changing table in there. You just put down the puppy pad, and which that bathroom, I will say, was bigger than most airplane bathrooms that I've ever been in. I think I sent Shelby a video of it because it was so big.
Yeah, you did.
You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to change him in there. I think I just put it on the floor. I can't remember. But anyways, that is one of my tips for anybody that's adopting. I always tell them, bring puppy pads, because you're going to have to fly with this little tiny baby, and it's so scary.
Well, especially because you got him in 2021. So COVID was still happening, but it wasn't as bad as 2020, but there were still a lot of unknowns in 21, I feel like.
Oh, it was still bad. Like, because he was born before vaccines. We were still wearing masks. Like, it was in the height of it still. People were dying, like people that we knew. And I was terrified.
Yeah.
Anyway, I actually just commented in an adoption group this morning, was bring puppy pads. It's one of my go-tos because people don't think of it.
The next thing on my list is small cash for tips, vending machines, so on and so forth. We have been in situations before where I do remember to go to the bank. We are not cash carriers at all. Everything goes on my card. I never have cash. But I do usually remember to go get cash from the bank before a trip. But I forget to get small bills. And you don't want to tip the guy that's bringing your luggage from this side of the airport stand to that side of the airport stand. You don't want to tip him a 20. Or I don't anyways. Maybe I'm cheap, but so small bills, 1s and 5s, especially most vending machines now I think take cards, but
yeah,
I always try. And if you're driving in a road trip, you might have toll roads, things like that. It's always great to have small cash. So that is the next on my list, as well as pennies and quarters for pressed penny machines, because Taylor has to get a pressed penny everywhere we go. I don't know how many books of pennies we have from all the places we visited. And then, she has to get the multi-pack and all this. So I always try to make sure I have plenty of pennies and quarters for that as well.
I was picturing when you were saying that about the tip, I was picturing that Home Alone. Remember when he gives him the gum?
He gives him the gum.
Maybe
well,
that's
you know what
tip.
I was thinking?
Bring gum as your tip.
When I was talking about this, I was thinking about, and it goes along with you talking about when you went to Texas for Mateo. Your car was at my house because I don't live super far from Nashville. And so I went up to take the car, or no, it was when I went to get it to bring it back to my house because you guys were in such a hurry. You just left it at valet. And I went the next day and got it and brought it to my house. So you didn't have to pay for parking for weeks.
For valet for 21 days. Let's be very specific.
So this is what hit my mind. I go up to the valet counter. Jordan dropped me off and I'm telling them like, okay, so my friends came, they flew, blah, blah, blah. I'm giving them the whole situation. I'm like, I need to pick up her car from valet. And so the guy, like, he's having me fill out where I was paying for however many days it was. And there's a spot for the tip. So I'm like, okay, I think I was texting you while I'm there. I'm like, how much do I tip this guy? I don't know. We don't ever park valet. We're bougie, but we're not that bougie. And so I didn't know what to tip him. So I was just like, okay, $10. Like $10 because we're in a parking garage. I don't know where he's having to go to get this car. And I look over and he is maybe 20 feet from me. But I had already filled out the thing for the tip. He literally gets in your car, drives it over. I mean, I watched him the whole time. It was right there. He drives it over and hands me the key. And I felt like that was the biggest waste of $10 ever. But that's what I was thinking of when you were talking about Mateo, and then I was looking down at my list thinking like this tip was going to be on there. That's where my mind went. I'll never forget that.
That was hilarious. Okay, so one of the other things that I travel with, I can't do it as much on a plane, but in the car, this goes along with Zofran, bring at least 2 towels. I put one in the back with the kids, and then I have one up front, because if you have kids that get car sick, or if you get the norovirus while you're at Disney World, you're going to be very glad that you brought those extra towels. Because I remember Derek saying, I don't know what we're going to do about this car seat. I have no idea, because Harper had gotten so sick. And I said, oh, you know what? I brought 2 extra towels and they're in the back. And that's what we draped over her car seat for her to sit in. So it's not something that a lot of people think of, but I can't tell you how many times we've almost gotten out of the driveway and stop, I forgot the towels and I have to run back in. That's my type B. Remembering as you're leaving.
I'm seriously writing these down as you talk, because I think I'm going to, We have like some old beach towels that I never use that I think I'm going to go out later and put them in my car because I never have towels in my car.
Yes, we always do. Well, especially when Sophia swam a lot, we always had towels in the car, but now we don't as much. So that's why I have to be very mindful of it. But yes, you don't think of it until it happens. And it was when Sophia was very small. And I said, we should bring towels. So now we always have towels. And if you have like a little under compartment in your car, which we do, we just toss them in there. And then if you don't need them, like you said, then they're there for the next time.
I would rather be prepared and not need it. Just like with that medicine. It took me 10 years to get that in my head. But now I have like a walking pharmacy. You want it? I've probably got it. So the last thing on my list is a souvenir bag or an unpacked suitcase. So most of the time, because we typically always fly Southwest, you get 2 bags, checked bags per person. We never need 6 bags. So I usually either bring an empty one or I won't pack one of them all the way so we have room for souvenirs because we collect, I've already mentioned the pressed pennies, but we also get an ornament everywhere we go, which I think you guys do that too.
Yeah, we do.
We have what we refer to as a travel tree, Christmas tree with all of our like trip ornaments. And then we also collect pins. We have a pin book, like the Disney pins. So we always get a pin, an ornament, a pressed penny. And then recently we've started adding stickers to our cooler. So now we're where we buy stickers too, everywhere we go. So we're like teetotal tourists. But I mean, usually I will get some kind of t-shirt, sweatshirt, something too. Sometimes we get coffee mugs. Like what? It just depends on where we're at. But that I always leave room for souvenirs, either an unpacked bag or one that's not full.
Well, my last thing you're going to laugh about because it just so happened that Shelby, before we started recording, put in that she was buying this. And I had this on the list, seriously. Little Sleepies. So when we were flying to Hawaii, I was looking up, I think I was just Googling very comfortable pajamas. And for some reason, Little Sleepies came up. And I bought Mateo 2 pairs. And now that is almost everything that he wears. He was wearing Little Sleepies when he went to school today because they do have regular everyday play
they have
clothes.
play clothes.
Not just pajamas. But I cannot tell you how obsessed now that the entire family has gotten with Little Sleepies. And now we've even gotten Shelby and Jordan on board. The whole family's wearing Little Sleepies now.
Yeah.
So that is always going to be in my suitcase.
Yeah, you've got us hooked. I think they feel different now than they did several years ago. I don't remember them being that soft or we would have been addicted before. But my cousin Shayna also, she sent me and Taylor matching Little Sleepies when I was diagnosed with cancer. And that's kind of where it all began. And now we all, even Jordan, we all wear Little Sleepies to bed every single night.
I'm telling you, if you guys are listening and you have not tried Little Sleepies, even like she said, for adults, it is life-changing. It really is. Derek is addicted to Little Sleepies now.
My mom is
They're
too.
awesome.
I don't know if I told you that, but I bought Mom some for her birthday last year, and now I don't know how many pairs she has. She has a ton.
They're awesome. They're awesome. So anyways, I think that wraps up what's in my suitcase. So I've been sitting here thinking about my favorite Mateo moments, wrapping it up. But I think that I just have to say, I don't know that I can pick a moment, but what I want to remember from when he was 3, now if my friends know this, but he did have to go to speech therapy. That started when he was 3. Can you believe that?
No.
That was when he was 3 years old. So he had a lot of words that he just didn't say right. And that's what, when I come back to this years later, that's what I want to remember when he was 3, because they wanted him to change it, but I'm going to be honest, I didn't want him to because it was so cute.
I think it's funny that this is what you're saying because this is exactly what I was going to say. The way
Yes.
he said, like, the words that he used for ice cream with sprinkles.
Yes.
And then we
Yes.
all were referring to it. I remember telling you that, like, don't let them change that to ice cream and sprinkles. He's got to say it how he says it. But that also, that's what I was going to say for my Mateo moment.
He would say mingies for sprinkles. That doesn't even sound the same. Spicy was pizza. Sophia was Yaya. He still does call her Yaya sometimes, but now she's Fia. Harper was purr. You know, he just had all these little words that he
What
would
did he
use.
call his, he would call his iPad, like when he wanted to watch TV. What was TV?
Oh, I don't remember.
See, you've
don't
already
remember.
forgotten.
I know.
I don't remember what it was, but I knew it was so cute. And we were just, instead of correcting him, I just had full conversations with him with his language because I knew he knew what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember, but he had so many words that were not
They
like
weren't
nobody
even
else would.
close.
No, nobody else. Like mingies doesn't sound anything like sprinkles. But somebody told me once, they're like, he's asking for mingies. And I was like, oh, he's asking for sprinkles because he was eating ice cream. And it was just so cute. But just the way that he talked, like I said, and I was worried about his speech. So he needed to go. But then they were like, okay, we're working on this. And it was so sad whenever they stopped. I can't remember what some of the, because even dinosaur, do you remember that? He didn't say dinosaur. He said something else. And it didn't sound anything like dinosaur.
So I was torn between two, which that was my third too. I was thinking that. But also, Mateo in the first 2.5 years of his life was very, very much like stranger danger. If you were not regularly around him, he was like petrified, or I feel like he was. And so when we went to Hawaii, he had just turned 2 and he was very much still that way. I mean, he was in the thick of it where he knew that he knew us, but he was just like skeptical. And by the end of that trip, I had him, like, he would actually come to me in the pool and we were swimming around playing games and stuff. And I feel like he knew me and Jordan well enough then to where he wasn't like that anymore. And then by the time we went to 30A, which was right at a year after our Hawaii trip, it was not stranger danger anymore. I mean, he knew who we were, and I love that. Like, I think too, because me and Jordan, neither one are very overbearing. We knew because Taylor was very similar. She had that similar personality. And so we just kind of let him do it at his own pace. You know, if he wants to talk to us, here we are. We weren't all up in his face. And I have so many pictures of him and Jordan because he would just slowly like sneak over to him and just sit with him. He really, really loves Jordan. And so I love that because I don't know, whenever it's stranger danger and he doesn't want anybody else, but he actually likes you. Harper was the same way though.
Yeah, she was.
I remember feeling like I won the lottery because I was on Harper's like list, and that's how Mateo is, which he's not so much like that anymore, but definitely then.
Yeah. Do you remember the way he would say Tiwi? Remember?
Tiwi.
Yeah. He says it a lot better now, but it was so funny. Yeah, when we went to the beach too, he was still kind of in that stranger danger, but it was starting to get better. Like I said, there's too many. I mean, I can think of so many things that he did. One of them, Shelby's going to get the gist of what I'm talking about, but I'm like, I don't want to make him sound too terrible. But remember him with the snow globe? Yeah.
Yeah. So Mateo's like a little Dennis the Menace. But he's a Sour Patch Kid because he's so stinking cute. But you just like want to squeeze his guts out.
Yeah.
He's so cute, but he's just wild. He's just a little boy. He really is. He's just a little boy.
He really is. Like I said, there's way too many memories that I can think of, but all of them are him doing things that are not good. And us still laughing about it because, like Derek always says, when your dad is 40, you're old and you're tired.
Yeah.
But I think
Well,
that's going to wrap up today's episode.
Thank you guys so much for listening and coming back to us every week. We appreciate it. May your flights be on time and your luggage never lost. But if it's not, that's where the fun begins. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Pack your dreams, grab your bag. Adventures call, let's zig and zag. From castles tall to ocean waves, magic made for wanderers brave. Theme parks light up the night, starry-eyed in sheer delight. Board the ships, set sail and see endless tales and fantasy. Chaos and carry-ons, let's go. Disney dreams in tow, you know. Every flight and every ride, join the journey, come inside. From Mickey ears to Dole Whip tree, pixie dust beneath our feet. Through the lands and sea we roam, feel the wonder, feel at home. From rope drop to the fireworks show, lose yourself in the joyful glow. Cruising waters, feeling free, every twist's a memory. Chaos and carry-ons, let's go. Disney dreams in tow, you know. Every flight and every ride, join the journey, come inside.